Hi, BookTube. Welcome to my reading corner. This is my third attempt to film this video because I keep getting interrupted. So let's try this again. Of course, watch in the middle of the video, I'll get a text or something. But anyway, so tomorrow I am off. So it is time for an update on my reading and what I'm going to read on my 2 days off. Of course, there's always a possibility I might get called on Thursday because, as I've said in the past, Thursdays are a busiest day because seniors get a discount, a 5% discount. Okay, so I had to get up this morning at 8:30, or not at 8, at 7 because I had to be at work at 8:30. And unfortunately, last night I could not sleep for some reason. I'm wondering if maybe I waited too long before I cut off the TV, maybe and stopped watching YouTube videos, or maybe it's because I ate when I ate dinner. I ate dinner kind of late because I wasn't hungry when I got home. But anyway, so I could not sleep. But the good news is, despite the fact that it frustrated me and I was uncomfortable and feeling restless, I ended up using that opportunity to get some reading done. And then I read this one, The Lives of Locke Lamore by Scott Lynch, which is a tome, so it counts for tome topple. And this is one that I've been kind of progressing through slowly, mostly because I've been bringing it with me to work so I can read a little bit during my 15-minute break, but really it's only like a page or two of reading. And I really should have brought this with me to Virginia when we went to go see my sister. But I didn't because there were other books I was like thinking, oh, I want to read this, I want to read this one. Oh, I should bring this one. But anyway, so really, it's still really great. I'm really enjoying this book. And we're continuing to go back and forth between Locke's when he was a little boy and what's going on with him as an adult. And we've just been introduced to the Grey King, who is kind of the leader of, he's kind of the enemy to all the people in, I think, Camor? Yeah, in Camor. He's the big threat to all these thieves and criminals and stuff like that. And so it's basically like Six of Crows, except for more for adults. And because the guy who kind of runs the whole thing in Camor, the Kappa Russ Barsavi, has approached Locke because, he's one of his best thieves, and even though he, of course, is scamming him and is getting away with a bunch of other stuff, stealing other finances, because he's paranoid and he wants someone that he can trust running things when he's gone, so he has just persuaded Locke to marry his daughter, because unfortunately his daughter, even though she would probably be the best person to run things, her brothers won't let her. Her brothers will not be content with her being in charge. And so while he's kind of dwelling on that, figuring out how to handle that, he also, because neither one of them wants they're friends. Locke and the daughter are friends, but they don't love each other. They don't want to get married. And so he's thinking this over, and then he ends up getting kidnapped by the Grey King. And I think that's what he's called. Yeah, the Grey King, who was trying to get him to do something for him. So I got a lot of read last night. Definitely a little more than what I normally have been reading. But I definitely need to progress in this book. But it's taking me so long because I'm reading so many other books at the same time. And which is my own fault. And plus, it's one of the easier books for me to bring when I go to work because of its size. But I only get 15 minutes to read, so I don't get much reading done, maybe like a page or two. But I'm also reading some other tomes I'm reading. I'm finally started reading, get back into reading The Count of Monte Cristo, but not much to report, Sinbad the Sailor has left Franz. He has to leave the island to go on a private mission, and Franz is deciding he needs to catch up with Albert and head to Rome for the celebrations and stuff like that. Which the whole Rome stuff was in the movie, but we don't get him going, like his friend going to the island and stuff like that. We don't have that part. But I'm guessing Sinbad is actually Edmund in disguise. I think. I mean, I'm assuming. I mean, I'm pretty sure it is. There's like 99.9% sure it is because they're on the Count of Monte Cristo, and I'm actually 100% sure that it's Sinbad. There's always a small chance that maybe it's not, but I mean, I'm pretty sure it is. So but unfortunately they have run into trouble. Not anything serious. It's just like they are the guy at the hotel, the concierge or whatever, has told them that they can't get the carriage. They can't rent out the carriage for the whole time they're there. They can only rent out a carriage for the first 3 days. And that's really all. I mean, I didn't read much, but I do. That's another one I need to progress on. And then I'm also reading Voyager by Diana Gabaldon, the 3rd book in the Outlander series, because as I've said in a previous video, I've decided I'm going to give those books to Terry from Florida. I'm going to give the books to her, but I need to finish reading the series because I want to. But I'm progressing kind of slowly because at the moment I'm not interested in that series. Same with Clash of Kings. Although I'm more engaged in Clash and Kings than Voyager. But anyway, we're kind of going back and forth between the 1700s and the 1960s, which we in the first 2 books we were mostly in the 1700s. But like I said, now we're in this present day 60. We're in the 1960s Scotland. So the thing is I can't really say much because I don't know who's read the book. Who's read the series, the first 2 books in the series, or maybe not, or maybe you have read it, I don't know. And then I'm also currently reading. I finally started reading Conjuring of Light because it's the other one I figured I need to get that one read, and luckily it meets the criteria for Tome Topple. It's over 500 pages, so I mean I can read that currently during Tome Topple. And really not, again, another book where not much happens except for the fact that it picks up, a lot more happened in this book than in Count of Monte Cristo, where it picks up right where the second book left off, A Gathering of Shadows. So the stakes are really raised, and we almost kind of had a sad moment in the beginning of the book, but I was pretty sure things were going to be okay, and it wasn't going to be sad for long. Things were going to work out. I wasn't 100% sure, but I was pretty sure that things were going to work out for the situation the characters were in at that moment. Or at least one of the characters anyway. Because the other situation I didn't know if they were going to resolve. But so far, I mean, the book has got a long way to go, though. So even though we solved one problem, we got a whole bunch of other problems to deal with, and a bad guy problem to deal with. What I like about the V. Schwab's or Victoria Schwab, whatever. Well, I think Victoria Schwab is when we're talking about her middle grade books, which I have not started reading. I haven't read any of those. So I guess V. Schwab. What's great about her book so far is the chapters are short. So I go through the books quickly, which I really appreciate that. But I still like the Shades of Magic series. I still have been taking quite a while to read those books. And I am also I finally started reading The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I've been meaning to read this one, especially this year because I think a TV series is in the works. I don't know if it's coming out this year or not, but I know it's in the works or it's been opted to be adapted into a TV series, and I think either Luke or Owen Wilson's going to star in it. And I haven't read much in that book. Like, um, not a lot. But we're right now, we start in the present where the character is an adult, and he's at this hotel in Europe, and he's talking about, I think he's gonna see his mother for the first time, and I thought she had died, but then he's talking about seeing her. Of course, seeing her could also mean he's gonna go see her grave, and it's more a metaphorical thing than a literal thing. But I think I'm wrong in thinking that his mom is dead. But whatever happened to his mom, he blames himself for it. He says it's his fault. So he starts talking about what happened when whatever happened to his mom happened, and right now he is been in trouble at school, and it kind of reminds me, if you guys watch the show Charmed, it reminds me of the other sister Paige, who their half sister Paige, and how her adopted parents, like, she was one of those rebellious kids, acting out, smoking and drinking and skipping class and being rude to teachers and all that, being so disrespectful. And she gets suspended from school, I think, suspended or expelled, I don't know. I think they just referred to it as suspended. And her parents, when she's fighting with her parents about it, they're paying attention to her, and it causes an accident, and they die. So Paige blames herself for their death. She says it's her fault because her parents were focused on her and her troubles and what she was going, the trouble, what she was going through, and what she was, all the problems she was getting into. So she gets to go back into the past and see what happened, and she unconsciously uses one of her powers to escape the car crash and the parent, and so that's what she goes back to. That's what she learns when she goes back to the past. So I feel like it's gonna be kind of the same thing where but I mean, like where the main character, because the parent was paying attention to them, it caused them whatever happened. They were focused and distracted with them and their problems. So whatever happened to them was, because they were distracted by their child's problems. I'm guessing it's gonna be like a situation like that. But so I'm gonna read a little bit more. And it's a tome. The problem is, of course, I also need to read some more of Needful Things. That's the other tomes I'm reading. And in that one, the first prank has been committed. Brian, the boy Brian, the 11-year-old boy Brian Rusk, he was Leland Gaunt's first sale. And he's like, the Gaunt is like, I don't want your money, but I want you to do something for me. So Brian has finally did whatever he has to do, which is throw mud on Wilma, I don't know how to say her last name, on her new freshly cleaned sheets. And she ends up, because she already has this rivalry with someone else in town, the character of Nettie, she automatically assumes Nettie was the one who did this, which I don't get that logic. That clearly that woman is crazy just by thinking that this woman would do something so childish, like throw mud on your dang on fresh clean sheets. It's like, what are you, 12? And so she calls her and she's like, I'm gonna come after you. I'm gonna get you for you doing this to me. She's like freaking out over her clean sheets. I mean, I know, it's like upsetting when your sheets get dirty. But, I mean, the woman is crazy. She's neurotic about it. She's, like, insane about it. She's, like, pitching a hissy fit. I mean, I understand getting angry and annoyed, but not to that point where you're threatening someone, the person that you think is responsible. It's like, just take a chill pill, woman. They're just sheets. You can always buy new ones, which just cost money. And you can always clean the mud off, which, yeah, maybe it's hard to do. Maybe it's not possible, but they're just sheets. They're sheets. They're not important. It's not the end of the world. You can, there are ways around it. You can try to clean them, or you can buy new ones. It's not the end of the world, but, clearly this woman's crazy. And she basically, threatens Nettie, but then, while she's sleeping on it, her husband gives her, like, some pills so that she'll calm down a little bit. She'll calm down a notch. And it works, but she does decide to scare Nettie a little bit. So, like I said, this leaves me the impression that, like I said, I still think my theory that what he's trying to do is create chaos in this little town. And again, I think he's gonna take these people's souls. And this is how he's gonna do it. Like, and the other thing we read is that one of the women, Brian's mom's friend, or friend I should say, she wanted this special Elvis painting. And for some reason, the painting has this effect on her to where she has an orgasm. And she is desperate to have it. She has to have it, and she'll die if she doesn't have it. And she basically fantasizes about dancing with Elvis and rubbing it in front of Cora Ruska's face. That's Brian's mom's face. That she's dancing with Elvis, and she's his girlfriend in this fantasy and everything. And like I said, she has an orgasm, essentially. I mean, and God even is like, she keeps trying to negotiate with him about the price. And he continues saying, nope, you can do better than that. And then he's like, well, apparently you don't want this. And she's like, she's like, I can't write you a check of more money than what I can, than the cash I already have, because my husband's gonna kill me. He's gonna be mad angry at me. But he's, God is like, you must, he basically is pressuring her to give whatever is necessary to get this Elvis painting. And she and he even says to her, alright, fine, but you also have to give me a blowjob. And she's hesitant in this verse, but then she decides, she's so desperate that she's like, alright, fine, I'll do it. So she's just about to give the guy a blowjob, and he's an old guy. I'm guessing he's a demon, so he's probably over 1,000 years old. But they don't know that. They think he's a regular human with apparently eyes that change colors. Because everyone, all the people that see him, the eyes are different colors. Although I don't know if this was I think in it was the same. With Pennywise the clown, it was the same way. Like when Georgie Denbroth meets Pennywise, his eyes are blue. I'm trying to remember if this was in the book or not, but his eyes are blue, like his brother Bill's. And that's kind of what warms him up to Pennywise at first. And he's willing to talk to the guy because his eyes remind him of his brother's eyes. So, King has done that before, and, but he's like, I don't remember who she's supposed to play the prank on. I think it's a male resident. And I don't know who's supposed to play the prank on Nettie, because I think someone's supposed to pull a prank on Nettie as well. Oh, and we just had this little bit where another character, one of the police officers that works for Sheriff Pangborn, there's the guy with the foxtail. There's a guy who wanted a foxtail, and then this guy, I'm trying to remember what it was what he got. Oh, I think he got a rifle or something. Like there was a special rifle that he had in his childhood. Or something like that, I don't remember. I think he's the one who's supposed to pull a prank on Nettie. And we keep going, and so we keep introducing, so we met all these characters, and this is why I noticed that King, he'll introduce these characters and really show their flaws, their horrible quirks and traits about these people. And it's because, of course, those are their downfall, why they're so easily affected by whatever monster or demon or whatever comes after the town. so it's always like what I love about King, and I want to talk about this more because I was thinking about doing after watching books like Whoa, she did a video about her top 10 favorite authors. So I thought about doing that too. Although I'm not sure because I think I have done at least the top for top 5 Wednesday. I've done my top 5 favorite authors on during top 5 Wednesday. As I've done like so I don't know if I should do it or not. But anyway, if I do, I'll talk more about King because he's one of my top favorite authors. But what I love that he does, he creates these very interesting, very real, very fascinating characters. Like he's so good at creating unique, relatable characters, the characters that you not necessarily maybe not you can't relate to them, but you've seen them in real life, and creates such a unique, really unique, interesting small town atmosphere. That can be creepy and also like whimsical and interesting to read about. Like so, now the one I really want to talk about the most that I read, the last book I want to talk about that I might read, I'll probably read a little bit tonight. Is okay. So this is not a tome, but this is one I wanted to read before, like I said, before June. And that is The Lonely Hearts Hotel, which was nominated for the Women's Prize, I think, in 2017. But I do think it was on, the Orange Prize for Fiction. So I think that's the Women's Prize, or the original name of the Women's Prize. And let me give you kind of a brief synopsis from what, it's these two, these two orphans, Rosie and Perot. It takes place in Canada, Montreal, and Rosie and Perot, both their parents died, and they're living in an orphanage run by nuns. And it's like and they end up, Perot, he's a bit of a prodigy when it comes, prodigy pianist, and Rose she's like someone who lights up a room. She's whimsical, she's funny, she knows how to entertain people. She's just a very happy-go-lucky, very person. And they end up falling in love, but things are constantly tearing them apart. And that's basically the plot description. I knew I was gonna get ding. Okay, well let me finish this video real quick because my dad said he doesn't need to know the answer to his question. He was just asking me right now. So I've read up to chapter 10 of the book, and Rose and Perot have just got separated. I hope I'm saying his name right. I think he's French. But they were doing great, spending all the time. They got put on shows for the rich and famous. But then they got separated because so there is one. How do I start this? So this book is like, it's a beautiful story so far. I'm enjoying it, but there is one character that, oh my god, I want to bitch slap her. I mean, and she's supposed to be a nun. This is Sister Eloise. This character was introduced. I mean, first of all, at this convent, like the Mother Superior has this belief that if you're happy, you're committing a sin. So apparently, if I'm happy right now, I'm committing a sin. Like, if I'm happy to be home, then I'm committing a sin. If I'm happy because I'm reading a book, then I'm committing a sin. I don't get that logic. That doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, yeah, I know that there's certain things like, like, it's like, I know that there, I think she doesn't understand what, like, I couldn't even begin to fathom that logic. It was like, So basically, every time you're happy, you're committing sin, so you can't be happy ever. Like, I understand there are certain things like the seven deadly sins are greed, anger, lust, um, avarice, which I think is anger. Anyway, gluttony, pride. But first of all, experiences those feelings are unavoidable. We're humans. God created us to be imperfect. So now I'm not trying to go into a speech about God and everything, but I'm going by that logic. It doesn't make any sense. And it's like, no one is supposed to be miserable. No one is expected you to be miserable your whole life just because you're afraid of committing sin. Of course, this is set in the 1920s, so, I mean, it's historical fiction, but it's just, so I'll have to look up and see if this is considered literary fiction. Because, I was a little, like, I'm still kind of confused on the definition of literary fiction, and I asked one of my friends on Facebook, and she says she's always thought literary fiction is modern, like a modern 21st, set in our time. But I think it's a little more, I think literary fiction is more that you can't, like, give it a genre. You can't define it, which, of course, you could argue this is historical fiction. But, I'm not 100% sure what literary fiction is. But, anyway. So, they're already pretty miserable as it is. But then, okay, there's this character of Sister Eloise that is introduced to the story. She's a woman, I think she's like in her 20s. Maybe her teens, I don't know. But she shows up. She's a young, pretty woman, pretty nun and everything. And apparently she has a weird interest in Poirot, like an inappropriate interest, like as in sexual. And he's like, in the beginning of this book, when she first meets him, he's 11 years old. He's 11 years old. He's way underage. And so she's like, okay, so the first instance is when she tells him, first of all, she treats Rose like crap because she's a girl, and she knows that Rose and Pro kind of have a friendship going on. But first things first, she tells the little boy, he's 11 years old. He's a kid. He doesn't understand. He's still kind of trying to understand things, and he doesn't. And I think it's like 12, 13 when boys start developing hormones and stuff like that, and understanding and having desires for sexual interactions with the female, unless they are gay, than with another male. That's like, I think like around 11, 12, 13 is when we usually, because I remember we learned in 5th grade, we got that whole video about our changing bodies and, all that, and hormones and all that stuff. And that's around when we were like 11, 12. So she tells him that I got a special treat for you, like a cookie or something, under my skirt. She tells him it's under her skirt, so he has to go under there to get his special treat. Now, I don't remember. I think he does stick his hand under there. And then, like, one night, he's in his room, and the boys and girls are separated. So the boy, like, I guess they have boy dormitories and girl dormitories, But she goes into he's having a erection, and he doesn't know what, and of course, like I said, he's 11 years old, so he doesn't know why his penis is doing this. And he's having an erection in his bed, so his penis is sticking out or whatever, and Sister Eloise comes in the room and sees it and just staring at him while he's having this boy moment. And then, of course, he's freaking out because, like, most of the nuns suppress it. They don't want these kids to misbehave and be, like, inappropriate and all that, so he thinks he's in trouble. And he's all freaking out. He's terrified. And he's embarrassed. He's ashamed. And Sister Eloise takes him out of the room. She's like, come with me. And she's going to take him to a bathroom. He thinks he's going to get in trouble. He thinks because, like, I guess what the nuns do is that they cool you down, put you in cold water so you'll cool down. And you won't be in heat or whatever. And she gets the bath, and he turns out the bath water is warm, so it feels really good. And then she proceeds to take off her clothes and get in the tub in her slip, and is like, "Ooh, you want to try something out? Try something that feels good and can be kind of scary." And she decides to, like, and this is why this is an adult book, by the way. It is not. It is maybe a mature 16-year-old, as someone on Goodreads said, could read this book, but she proceeds to give him a blowjob in the bathtub. And he doesn't realize that. He doesn't understand. He just knows that this feels really good, but at the same time, he's absolutely terrified because he knows that he shouldn't be doing this. He knows this is inappropriate, but this feels really good, and he's scared, and he's probably also, scared to stand up to Sister Eloise. And again, it feels really good. So basically, after that moment, she continuously, every night, she makes him do that. She gives him a blowjob every night. And then basically pitches a hissy fit and gets all mad because him and Rose start forming a connection, being intimate, not actually sexual, because they haven't discovered that kind of stuff, although he has apparently. But they start becoming attracted to each other and like each other. And this woman, who is a grown woman, an adult, like I said, she might be a teenager, like late teens, but I'm pretty sure she's in her 20s, and gets mad and abuses, hits Rose and locks her in the cupboard. And then Mother Superior is like, well, no, this girl needs to be disciplined. She needs to know, and she needs to be controlled, and she's a bad girl. So she goes along with this, not realizing, this woman, a grown woman, is jealous of a girl that's younger than her, because she likes having her little plaything. That's Perot, and it's like, you sick, crazy bitch. What is wrong with you? They're children, and you're jealous of a little girl? And then, like, the last thing I read was that when Rose and Perot are, like, 15, I believe, and they have been doing all these little shows, and they've been doing these performances where he plays the piano and she dances and does little acrobatic tricks and stuff, and everyone is loving it. And Mother Superior is loving it because it means that they're getting money from all the rich people. And and Perot, who has discovered sexual pleasures via Sister Eloise, he doesn't love her, but he loves Rose, so he wants to experience that with her because he's starting to develop this attraction to her. And Sister Eloise ends up overhearing him say that he wants to do some naughty things to Rose, and of course Rose is a little surprised and overwhelmed, and on the one hand she kind of likes it, but on the other hand she's absolutely terrified, like Perot was. So Sister Eloise hears them, and she pitches another hissy fit. Because she apparently loves Perot and wants him and desires him, and even pictures herself married to the little boy, a kid. Like I said, I think she's in her 20s, and he's a teenage boy. And she wants to, and in fact she has sex with him at one point, and she basically beats up Rose. She catches Rose in the hallway and beats her up so badly that she ends up in the infirmary. It's just Mother Superior doesn't stop it until when she's like, okay, this is enough. And she knows that, okay, we gotta keep these two apart. It's dangerous. She feels some sympathy for Rose, I think. Or either that, or she just doesn't want Sister Eloise to look bad and sinful. I don't know if she cares or not. But she puts Rose Rose is in the infirmary, and no one tells, because of course Sister Eloise doesn't want to look bad in front of the children, which, and of course someone with a little sanity would probably realize, okay, they're gonna look bad. This woman does not have a good moral compass. She has a very messed up, dysfunctional moral compass on definition of right and wrong. And Perot does not know why. He thinks that Rose was angry at him for him telling her, whispering these naughty ideas into her. So he thinks that's why. Of course, we know that it's more that she was just overwhelmed and shocked by it, but she wasn't necessarily like, "You're disgusting. I don't want to do that with you." That was not her reaction. Was more mixed. Like she didn't know. On the one hand, she was like, "Ooh, but on the other hand, she knew that she probably shouldn't be aroused by that. And then this guy walking by the orphanage, overhears Perrault playing his piano and offers to take Perrault so he can kind of be his companion. Not in a sexual way, as mind you, but more as someone could take him places and play for him and his friends, stuff like that. Like kind of like he kind of adopts him. And Perrault writes a little note saying he will come back for Rose, but Rose never gets the note and I knew this was going to happen. Sister Eloise finds the note, takes it from Mother Superior, and rips it into little tiny pieces. And it's like, oh my God, I want to bitch slap this woman. It's like, you are a grown woman. He's a teenage boy. Grow up. You will never have him. He will never love you because you are not equal footing. You will never, and you are just a spoiled little pampered little brat who wants her plaything, she thinks that she loves this boy, and she doesn't. She barely knows, but all they've done is had sex together. I mean, this woman must have been suppressed her whole life or deprived of certain things. I'm disturbed by this. And it's just awful. So I don't know what's gonna happen next in the book, but I think Rose is gonna have something's gonna happen to Rose too. She's gonna be adopted or something. Oh, I remember. I just read the part when she's gonna be taken to be a governess for, so it's gonna be a little bit of a Jane Eyre situation. But I don't know if she's gonna be like, other than that, I don't know what's gonna happen. I read a little bit this morning before I left for work, but I got up at 7:15 and I had to be at work at 8:30, so I didn't get a lot of time because I don't like skipping. I'm one of those crazy people who doesn't actually skip breakfast. I actually eat breakfast, and it's not like we're gonna. Yes, there is a McDonald's across the street from Harris Teeter, but I'm not gonna get a McDonald's breakfast sandwich before I go into work. I don't, why not just eat at home? Just get up early enough. If maybe I would do that if I could drive, go to work early enough. Leave from home early enough. But anyway, so I'm gonna read a little bit more of that as well. Find what's gonna happen to these characters. I'm so nervous. But, oh my God, Sister Eloise, I hope she never is reunited with Perrault again because that woman is sick and disturbed and needs help. Some serious help. She just made me so angry. She's just a character that made me so angry and frustrated and, pissed off. It's like, what is wrong with you? What's wrong with you, woman? He's a boy. I don't understand this woman. So anyway, that is what's going on in my readings. Books I've been reading lately, and those will probably be the books I will read tomorrow. But who knows? I might read other books. There's there's a lot of other books that I have to start, like Leviathan Wakes, Clash of Kings, Jonathan Strange, Mr. Norwell, Kings of Wild, Way of Kings. I need to read that one. Orcs. Dwarves, Carnival for the Dead. There's a lot of Dune. Like I said, Needful Things. Oh, The Stand. I need to continue with The Stand. 4:30 and It. Oh, and The Shining. Unfortunately, there are a lot of books that I've started that I need to continue with. So I don't know if all those books that I will read tomorrow. And I keep thinking also about Ken Follett's Fall of Giants. That's another one I need to get to as well. because that's another big. Although I just found out that the first book in his other series, the Kingsbridge Chronicles, the first book, Pillars of the Earth, that one came out the year I was born, and I just had this, like, after watching Shaun the Book Maniac, I can't remember what the tag was called, but you pick a year and answer these book-related questions about that year, and he picked his birth year, and then that kind of inspired me to, look into books that were published the year I was born, and maybe read those next month, because next month is my birthday month. So I thought that could be kind of fun, but there's only The Pillars of the Earth is the only one that I actually am interested in, and that looks like I recognized it. The other books that I've read this month that were published that month that I would have liked, I've already read. But I am gonna read because I think May is Asian American month. So I'm thinking about reading The Kitchen God's Wife, because surprisingly that's the only Asian book that I have. Although I've expressed desire to read some books set in the Philippines, because that's my Asian heritage, Filipino. So I have looked into that, but I haven't bought any books set in the Philippines. So especially even more so because there's all the popular Asian books out there are all, like, the well-known ones, all seem to be in Japan or China. There's not a lot of ones set in the Philippines that are at least known and popular. Like the Toilet Club, and then the one I'm thinking about reading, it's over there, that's why I'm keep looking over there. The Kitchen God's Wife by Amy Tan are set in China. In America, I don't know about The Kitchen God's Wife, that might be completely in China, but Toilet Club was set in America, partially in America. But since I've already read the Toilet Club, and I gave it back to my sister, so I couldn't reread it. So I'm going to read Amy Tan's other book, The Kitchen God's Wife, even though that was not published in '89. That was published in probably like 1990 or something, like the 90s or something. So I'm going to read that one because it's so anyway, so I need to start that, so I'm going to start that one next month. So would love to know what you guys are reading. Feel free to share in the comments below, and if you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you haven't and you like this video. And I will talk to y'all later. Alright, bye!